We're set to talk Smith County High School football for the 2019 season here on DTC Sports. First-year head coach Scott Murray. Coach, good to have you with us today. I know I talked to you back in the spring when you first got here to Smith County, but been following you guys since spring on Facebook and Twitter, and a lot of work going on. Talk about what else has been going on since you've been here.
Well, it's been an exciting time. I think it's been exciting not just for the players and the coaches, but for the community. Everybody's really bought into what we're trying to do. There's a lot of support from everyone out there, and everyone's just excited. We've made some big gains in the weight room. I feel like the kids have bought in. We're getting better fundamentally now that practice has started a little bit. Working on our technique and things like that. That's where we're really behind right now.
Right.
I feel like we've added some great coaches. Very fortunate to gotten the guys in that we have in now, working with the program, and I think we're headed in the right direction. I think everybody's behind us and we're headed that way.
That's one thing I want to come back to for just a moment. That's one thing, probably the first thing you told me in the spring coming in is getting everybody back on the same page, getting the community back involved. How important is that to you, to the program, and how much has the community embraced that?
Well, this is a football traditionally great area, and everybody here wants championship programs and they want an elite program. So what I've been trying to sell to them is you're going to have to treat the program like it's elite.
Right.
You know, there has to be some money come in, there has to be some people care and donate things and donate work and things like that. We have to get things that make us look like an elite program, and to sell it to the kids and to sell it to the community and make people come out and make kids want to work and feel important. And I feel like everyone's done that. Like I said, I think we're headed in the right direction with it, but that has been a crucial part of what we've been trying to do.
How easy has it been for the kids to buy in what you're bringing in, what you're talking about, your program, you know, the work you got to put in the weight room? How receptive have they been to that?
Look, when you care about kids and they understand that and they know it and they know that you have their best interest at heart, there's not a kid here that doesn't know I love them right now. You know, we do things for them behind the scenes that people don't understand or know about, and we're there for them when they need us, and we've shown them that, and that's made the kids buy in. They care about us. They love the coaching staff. I think they love me. I feel like they do, and they're getting a sense of pride back in the program.
Sure.
They're starting to love the program again and think of it as elite and think of it as special, and that's what we're pushing to them. These kids are really special to me. And they're great kids, best I've ever coached. And you know, I've had some really good kids, but this is my hometown, and these are the best kids I've ever been around. I love them, and they bought into that. They understand that, and they'll go through a brick wall for you if they know you care about them.
Right. This is kind of a two-sided question. I know you've been a head coach in the Metro Nashville area. Talk about the difference you see coming back to a place like Smith County that maybe is different from like coaching in Metro Nashville, and on the same wavelength for you, how special is it to come back to your alma mater and be the head coach here?
Well, I'll talk about that part first. It's just an amazing feeling to be back home and be surrounded by people that I grew up with, that I know love the program, and I know have the kids' best interest at heart. In the inner city and in Metro, kids are spread out so much, there's really not a community feel to it, so you don't get that portion of it. I think the administration and people like that in Metro want things to be successful, and they back you, but the community support's not always there because the kids are spread out. So the biggest difference is just that community involvement and how much the people actually care about the football program and care about the well-being of these kids.
Right.
This town loves these kids.
Absolutely.
They'll back them as long as they're working, doing what they're supposed to do. This town will back them.
Coach, it's hard to go back and compare anything to last year because I know we're wiping the slate clean basically with your tenure coming in here, but you do have quite a few kids coming back from last year's team. I believe about 75% of your offensive production, matter of fact, is coming back from last year. Walking into a situation like that has to be pretty good. Talk about that. Talk about the players you've inherited and what you've seen from them so far.
I've already talked about the players are amazing. Their skill set and their knowledge, we're very blessed. We've got some really good athletes. We've got some really good, determined, hard-nosed kids. Our biggest drawback right now is just some technique things.
Sure.
Things of that nature, just little things you wouldn't even think of, but those little things really add up to big things. We're just having to teach some things that are very crucial. Just small, a lot of little things is what we're having to do. We're not having to build and make really big things. It's just a lot of small things we're having to put together to make that big puzzle fit together.
Talk about some of the players who have stepped up, maybe some of the seniors, or just players that have stepped up and established themselves as leaders both on the football field and in the locker room.
Listen, we have an offensive lineman named Chris Cunningham, and we call him Buttermilk. That's what we call him.
Yeah.
And what he brings to the practice field every day is just amazing. He's one of our bigger kids. Probably should be one of the more tired kids that we have.
Right.
Run down and things, just because of his size. He's just a big kid.
Yeah.
And but he brings it every single day. He is such a great leader for our program right now on the field.
Right.
It's just amazing. And we have several. We're blessed to have 18 seniors. Now, they haven't all played, and some are new and things like that. But, our skill set, we've got a quarterback that's coming back. We've got a tailback that's coming back. We've got 2 or 3 receivers that are coming back. So we're very fortunate there. We're a little younger on the line, a little more inexperienced there. But I really love the way these seniors have bought in, like we talked about earlier, to the program. And they're wanting to make this successful, and they're really working hard on the practice field. But one that just sticks out is Chris Cunningham, Buttermilk. I mean, he brings, to be that big and work that hard all day, every day, is really special. And if I can get some more kids with that effort, we're going to be all right.
I want to talk about your quarterback a little bit, Spivey. Of course, we watched him last year really grow and develop into that position. And talk about what you've seen in his development. What do you expect of him this year?
I expect big things, and he knows that. The hardest position to play for me is probably quarterback. He can never be right. Even when he makes a good pass, throws a touchdown, I still go back and say, you need to look at this needs to be faster. And he understands that.
Yeah.
We've had that conversation. He can always do better. But we're very fortunate to have him. He's a really good quarterback. He had a little bit of a setback in the spring. He broke his thumb, so when everybody else was throwing in the summer, he was working out with his legs. He was sitting out. So he was a little rusty when we got back to fall camp, but he's really just daily, you can see him progressing, and he has some things technique-wise we've still got to work on, like we talked about with the rest of them. His reads have to come out a little bit quicker on his passes. He needs to understand a little bit better who we're trying to scheme and things like that in the secondary, and just being able to pick up those coverages and things. But he's doing a great job for us. Couldn't be more impressed with him.
Talking Smith County football with Coach Scott Murray. Coach Murray, I want to talk a little bit about scheme, what we're going to see, and I know you don't want to get too in depth probably talking about scheme, but your offensive and defensive philosophies and things that we will notice on the field Friday nights.
Well, we're wanting to bring back a little bit more physical football. We're on both sides of the ball. We want to make sure that even with the schemes and the things that we do, nobody really lines up and just mashes people anymore. But we do want to bring back Smith County and physical football, like it was known for many, many years. So we're looking at doing that, but we're trying to do some different things scheme-wise. We have several athletes, and we're trying to get a lot of people involved, and we're trying to make people cover the whole field. And then defensively, we're just trying to be sound. Like I said earlier, I think our biggest weakness right now is just we need to be taught some more technique. That's the area that we need to work on the most, and we are working on that, but it's hard to instill those things in just a few weeks. It has to become habit, so we're selling it, pushing it, and that's what we're looking for right now.
Earlier you mentioned your coaching staff, and again, having followed you on social media, I've been seeing the coaches that you've hired and brought in. Quite impressive staff that you put together. Talk about these guys and what they bring to the table.
Well, I haven't brought in a lot of people, but anybody I did bring in, I wanted to bring in quality. So I only brought in 2 coaches. I brought in Keith Powell. Keith Powell is when I was the defensive coordinator at Beach High School and left to become a head coach, he actually took my job at Beach as a defensive coordinator. Went on to win a state championship there. Left there to go to South Carolina, where he coached, was a position coach on a couple of not state champion, but state runner-up teams. So he's been there 2 or 3 times. His son actually signed to play with Western Kentucky, and he was looking to come back closer to home. So we were very fortunate and blessed to get him. And then we also have Coach Harris. Coach Harris is a 20-year veteran of college football. So he's one of the most impressive coaches that's probably been around here in a while. He's been an offensive line coach. He's been an intern as a head coach. He has been an offensive coordinator on the collegiate level. So once again, elite, and very blessed to have him. The one that I have from the previous staff is an old friend of mine, Jason Harville. Very knowledgeable, very hardworking, great guy to be around. And I can't say enough about him. He's been vital to the program just because he knows the ins and outs here of everyday football and what's going on, and he's just fit in great with those guys. Can't say enough. An old friend of mine, David Reed, who's actually been in the youth program, but is unknown and one of the most knowledgeable football coaches around. people probably think of a youth coach and just snicker and laugh, but they should come and sit down with him and talk football for a minute.
Yeah.
Because he is truly amazing with everything that he does. Also, we brought Steve Bray back in, who's been a monument here for years. He's worked with every coach for the last 20-something years, played here, loves the program more than anything. We're fortunate that he comes out a little bit and helps us out. I'm trying to make sure that I'm not leaving anybody out. We've got Coach King that's helped out with Watertown and Gornsville and things. You know, he's just our motivational guy running around making the kids feel good. So we feel like we've put a really, really great staff together. Maybe not as many coaches as I wanted. Everything didn't fall into place, but the ones that we have are quality.
I want to go back again. This is something you and I talked about in the spring about your background, you know, being around a Gary Rankin, being around some of the coaches that you've worked with, you played for, that you coach with, things like that. So talk about some of those lessons learned and how they benefit you coming into this job.
Listen, I've got a father, and my father's great, and I love him. But when I was at school, I had another father growing up, and that was Gary Rankin. You know, I got into this and that and the other, and more trouble than I should have growing up, and he was always there whenever I turned around. And then later on, I was fortunate enough to work with him for 1 year and go to a state championship at Riverdale and just watch the way that, you know, as an adult, watching him coach was different than being a player and watching him coach. He's one of the first people I called when I took this job, and he's been instrumental with me. I can always call him throughout my career, and he's been instrumental through all of that with me.
Coach, I think I already know the answer before I ask you this, having, again, followed the program throughout the summer, but expectations on the season. I want to feel like you're going to say we're going to take it a day at a time, a play at a time when we get to the field, but talk about the expectations somewhat. Is that something you discuss, or is it that simplified that it's just kind of one moment at a time?
That's exactly what we say, is one moment at a time, but losing is not an option. That's not anything we talk about. This is Smith County football, so we don't talk about I'm a new coach and we're rebuilding. That's just not traditionally what's done here.
Right.
So a new coach coming in is not going to change that tradition. It's an expectation from our administration, it's an expectation from our community, and it's an expectation from my coaching staff and from these players that we're supposed to win.
Yeah.
And we want to win every game, but we do break it down, and some people break it down into a game, and some break it down into a day or whatever, but we break it down into moments. I've already talked to several newspaper people, and we try to win every rep in the weight room. We try to win every set in the weight room. We try to win every sprint. We try to win every play in practice. So we really break it down into small implements, trying to build up to where we think if we get a lot of those in a row, then the wins will come.
Well, Coach, we're very excited. We're always excited about Smith County football. I tell you what, I always brag on this venue. It's one of the best to me in Middle Tennessee on Friday night. The folks come out. It's like the place to be in Carthage on a football Friday night. And I know community support, you've been out, really talking about that during your time here, and just excited about the program. And I know you're excited about the season and being back home here in Carthage.
Couldn't be more happy to be here. It's a blessing. It's a dream come true. My family, my wife is actually the athletic trainer here. My son plays in all the athletic programs here, 3 sports, and we love it. My wife, this is her hometown now. She never wants to leave, so very fortunate and blessed to be back and very excited.
Coach Scott Murray, we want to thank you for taking some time to talk to us about Smith County football today, and we wish you the best throughout the 2019 season.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Coach Scott Murray joining us here on DTC Sports with the 2019 Smith County Owl football preview.